Hi guys, this is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? Please share and subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so. And if you get anything from my work, a connected dot, an epiphany, a mind explosion, a new book to read, a new author to explore, artwork to create. Please consider supporting my work. All the links are at the bottom of the description of this channel. Alley Cat Creations211 is my website. It's a portfolio. Go check it out. I paint and sip paintings, craft and sip signs, all kinds of stuff that I made. Candles. I love the cop. Lots of pyramids, skulls, all types of stuff there. I do hyper realistic commission portraits. I do watercolor, and some animal portraits. So go check me out. And if you're interested in anything for purchase, please email me because I do everything privately. Um, you know, it is what it is. Uh, my hair had to be back today because of said child in my room. Fun times. Sorry, I look like a mess. 3D memberships, 4D memberships are 2 tiers of memberships on my channel that help support me, keeps this channel going, keeps me fed, keeps Frey and Little Thor fed, and is a really great way to contribute back to the channel. I also, for gratitude and thanks, have channel member only content, which is an hour plus oracle reading 4 times a month, which is every weekend. I also do raffles once in a blue moon when I'm able to afford to do it. That 3D gets 1 entry, 4D gets 2 entries. Also, you guys get special emojis. I'm still working on getting Mr. Batty an emoji. And 4D gets exclusive stuff, content that I'm working on behind the scenes. I'm working on some coursework, but Spirit just dropped me a little nugget yesterday, which I'm going to start capitulating a little presentation on that I might present on this channel, but at least the 4D members will get some input. And I like when everybody gives me some input. So yeah, check those memberships out. I do appreciate it. I'm sorry for the glare in the glasses. I'm trying to avoid it, but crazy day today. Today's the Inner Radiance reading, and we're on chapter 20. How exciting! Not because we don't want these books to end, but today we're going to read from the Inner Radiance, The Mystery of the Elements. And this starts off with a hymn, so let's get to it. Earth, my mother, bid me learn truth in darkness to discern, like thy forces silently work in true humility. Sorry, we're already starting. Stream of life, unceasing flow, wellspring of the Christ bestow. Fill me till I thirst no more. Bear me to thine eternal shore. Air that blows from heaven's dome, waft me to my Father's home. Whisper softly words of love to all mankind from God above. Holy fire from on high, enter in and purify. Burn the dross and cleanse from sin. Make me pure and true within. Harriette Augusta Curtis wrote that. In a certain mystic ceremony, a pertinent and everlasting truth is revealed to the neophyte in the formula. Let the earth and the water, the air and the fire be thy servants to draw thee closer to the heart of love. Yet how few, even among those who have studied long and laboriously within the circle of accepted ones, have clearly drawn close to the heart. How few have even a conception of how the elements can be made their servants, theirs to command, obedient, trustworthy, capable, remembering that the lords of karma are presiding spirits of the elements, and that the elements should help man in his great climb. Upward and onward, Think what it means to have those great beings as your servants. Yet this is a covenant made with every accepted neophyte, and it will be fulfilled if he is sincere and faithful. How shall we have these servants work? Shall we of our own free will determine and predict? Shall we will to be pushed on by the good of the gods, or must be eternally suffer ere we learn? Is it not possible for us to enter into an appreciation of our great privileges and possibilities and at once claim our heritage as sons of God? If we had heard those mystic words pronounced, or if we have invoked the forces of the elements in the silence, they will come to us with the power and divine potency of the great hierarchies of heaven. But if such an invocation falls on deaf ears, if the forces come to one who, having invoked them in a moment of ecstasy or unthinkingly forward with, passes on and forgets them, they will come again, but as an earthquake, as a flood, as a whirlwind, or as a consuming fire. Thus it is ever with servants who are permitted to become masters, servants whom in our indifference and lethargy we have permitted to don the purple, mount the throne, and hold the scepter over us. It is our privilege to make the elements our servants, to draw us closer to the heart of love. How can we rule these servants? The law is simple, plain, and effectual, if we but grasp it. Since the inner essence is the product of divine life and divine love, he who works through the law of love will find the elements his servants. In speaking of the elements, we do not refer to the outer and gross physical elements, although even they must ultimately obey the inner urge when it is controlled by those who understand and exercise their power over the inner essence. But we refer to the spirit of the elements, or the conscious intelligence in nature which manifests through the elements. The things which we perceive with our physical senses are not the realities, are not the things themselves. They are not the things either to strive for or to avoid. They are but limited and imperfect materializations of certain aspects of the inner ideal or pattern of that which we strive to manifest in the material world. They are merely signposts set up for those who are spiritually unawakened to indicate that back of the physical manifestation, there is a great reality, just as we might set up a stake to indicate the beneath the outward, and commonplace appearance of the earth, there exists a deposit of gold. Let us then take account of our powers and possibilities. Let us seek the inner mystery, the power back of the elements. For once understand that the Lord of Karma are the governing spirits of the elements, and we realize that it is not the physical elements which bring us our ills or blessings, that bring the just compensation for that which we have sown, and the just retribution for that which we have slighted or neglected. But it is a mysterious force connected with them and ruled over by the great lords of karma, which never fails to bring about the ultimate adjustment. Let us begin with a study of the element earth and its mystical powers and possibilities. Many indeed realize the power of earth conditions to push them on, to bring them suffering to be endured, lessons to be learned, and experiences to be garnered. But this is only one phase of earth. The earth is a material aspect of the Great Mother, in the darkness and depths of whose bosom the germs of all things are nestling, those hidden things that we must ultimately grasp and understand and use as a stepping stone to ever greater attainments. She is the mother of our physical expression, but only as it is nourished by the waters of life. From this spiritual aspect of the Divine Mother, can it aid us in bringing forth spiritual fruits in us. And in our lives, it is the power of these mother force, this darkness that is pregnant with the powers of all the other elements, that brings forth in the soul and manifests in the character the germs that are hidden in the dark corners of our nature, where we scarce dare look, germs of good and germs of evil, the germs of our possibilities. This is the mystic power in man, which corresponds to the element earth, the power of the mother to bring forth the unmanifested. Each soul has within him these mystic depths into which the light from the higher self must penetrate, that this earth element may become his servant to bring forth at his command. Learn then to correlate with our possibilities, and as we let the divine love enter and bring forth the hidden germs, if we find weeds springing up in our garden with the flowers, pull them up at once, lest their rank growth choke out the blossoms we would bring forth. To apply this practically at every contact we make with the physical earth, let our minds go forth in an understanding appreciation of what the earth is, that of itself it is but a barren desert until moistened by water, warmed by fire, the sun, the breathed upon by air, but that when all four elements are combined in harmonious proportions, it will bring forth all things. Let us realize that we also have the earth element within us, and that it must be moistened by the waters of divine love and be purified and redeemed, for we have helped to make it what it is now. We should remember how the earth was made by the gathering together of the failures and leftovers of the past, transmuted by the mighty forces of evolution. Realize that just as there is hidden within the bosom of the earth vast undeveloped powers and possibilities, so are there in our element of earth, if we will open our hearts to them and correlate with the Divine Mother and bring them forth. The element of water symbolizes the outpouring of divine love, the showers of blessings, the dew of Hermon, and the water of life, so often referred to in certain hymns. For as water comes from the heaven to refresh the thirsty earth, and sinking into the bosom softens the hard shell of the seeds until by its alchemical action it bursts them asunder, so must divine love descend from heaven above. It must be the outpouring of our divine nature and must sink into the deep places in our lives and burst out our husks of the germs of our godlike possibilities, which the Great Mother has been hiding in the darkness of her bosom. For only divine love can soften the hard conditions in our natures and lives and bring forth to perfection the sprouts of the Christ life within. Yes. Therefore, to make, the element of water our servant, meditate upon the reality of the divine love that is poured out like water, expecting no return. Drink the physical water often during the day, and every time a sip is taken, think of it as not only enabling the blood to dissolve and wash out all the impurities from our bodies, but think of its inner mystic potency as dissolving and washing away all selfishness, unkind thoughts, and all impurities in our natures. Determine that we will correlate with the power of the Divine Mother and wash from our lives everything that is retarding the putting forth of our spiritual life, no matter how hard and dark may be the conditions we find either in ourselves or in our environment. The element air represents the breath of the spirit, which must move on the face of the waters of our lives. For while love, even in its physical aspect, is an aspect of the water of life, softening, cleansing, and purifying, so only as the breath of the Spirit moves upon it and blows from it the mists of selfishness, self-seeking, and animal desire, the determination to be loved rather than to love, can the waters of life love become the universal solvent of alkest. Only when the Spirit moves upon the face of the waters are we ready to say, let there be light, and have the fire in its highest aspect of light enter into our hearts and lives. Every school of occultism recognizes the importance of the breath, but it must be the real spiritual breath and not merely the physical that is inhaled. For no amount of mere physical breathing exercises can awaken our spiritual faculties. Only a realization of the mystic power of the air we have herein set forth can make the breath our servant, to unfold with us the mystic life. In correlating with the inner mystery of the air and making it our servant, strict attention should be given to keeping the physical breath pure and sweet, and and in not allowing it to become polluted with the effluvia and impurities, which should be carried off greatly, diluted, or through other channels. Nor must the breath be polluted by using it to utter unkind or impure words. We should breathe deeply when out of doors, and as we breathe in the air, make it our servant to carry to every tissue and cell in our bodies the spiritual as well as the physical oxygen. A good rhythmic exercise is in this connection to take while walking outdoors is to breathe deeply while you take 4 brisk steps, saying to yourself the following words, one for each step: I breathe in life. Retain the air in the lungs while you take the next 4 steps as you repeat, God is in me. Breathe out during the next 4 steps, repeating, I breathe out love. Hold the lungs empty during the next 4 steps while you say, I thank God. Then begin the cycle over again. This may be repeated for several minutes until you feel fully charged, not only with the fresh air, but the consciousness of God's life filling and overflowing through you to call all you contact. In fact, recognize the back of the physical manifestation. The air is truly the breath of the spirit. Of all elements, fire, or the flame, is the king, or we might say the upper servant who controls and rules the others. There is an old adage that children should not play with fire, and if this be true upon the physical plane with the outermost garment of the sacred element, how much more true is it when we enter the aura of divine flame itself and catch a mental glimpse, if not a realization of its surpassing radiance? For within each heart and in the midst of every life, there is a reflection of the flame which burns eternally upon the altar of the Most High, the great all-seeing eye whose fiery glance penetrates to the inmost secrets of the heart. Wow. Hence, there are no vain words that are used when we invoke the elements. We cannot worship this divine flame if we have not erected an altar of truth and purity in our hearts and lives, for it is like physical fire. Unless the chimney is unobstructed and we are careful to see that the fire is kindled upon the hearthstone, the fire will become destructive. Our home will be burned and our most cherished possessions consumed. This law is so well known and fire is held in such respect that on the physical plane, no one presumes to take liberties with it. For while we regulate it as a good servant, it is a terrible taskmaster. Hence, it takes little thought to understand that if fire can be disastrous on earth, yet so useful, comforting, and cheerful when properly used, so on the higher planes, its proper use can be proportionately helpful and its misuse proportionally disastrous. To correlate with the divine flame, realize that it is the radiance of divinity shining in our hearts, the jewel in the lotus, or the glow of the spiritual life force surging through our hearts. For during life, a golden soul glow, composed of myriads of dancing points of light, is focused in the heart and shines in the blood. But when the soul withdraws from the body, no trace of this fire or light can be found, and the body becomes cold and lifeless. The forces of the elements should not be invoked carelessly. One of the saddest things in life is to see students uttering the most sacred words and vows with little understanding of the forces they are invoking. Yet, beloved, no master, being, or God can, on any plane, can give us that understanding unless the flame of divine potency has entered into our hearts and lit the fires upon our altars. Perhaps we come to worship at this holy shrine with an intellectual receptivity for divine truth, perhaps eager to know and understand, but with little realization of the underlying mystery of its potency. Hence, the world finds little difference in our lives. On the other hand, there comes into our lives many great and unexpected trials. To one comes sickness, and the very foundations of his life seems dissolved. To another comes the stress of poverty, the loss of friends, or physical disaster, until he may think that there is some personal force working against him, and he blames the evil powers or the Black Brotherhood. But understanding the law is in plain to see that it is not the explanation. It is simply that he has invoked the living fire. He invoked the divine elements and has asked that the flame be his servant. The flame, which on the spiritual plane is the great eye of the eternal, searching the soul. And on the psychic plane is a consuming fire, and on the physical plane, disintegration of old conditions on all planes, working as his servant to purify and spiritualize his life. Therefore, unless we have made preparation for the flame by erecting an altar within our hearts and placing upon it the things we desire consumed, we must expect disaster. If we wish to bake bread and light our fire upon the floor instead of beneath the oven, ought we be surprised if the house burned down and the bread refused to bake and come forth from the burning, but a charred and blackened lump of dough? We hear many talk of the great sacrifices they are willing to lay upon the altar, but have they fully considered what fuel is needed to consume them? For know well what then the divine flame touches our lives, it becomes a consuming fire unless we have prepared for it. And unless we lay the fuel so that it may burn steadily and in the right place to consume our sacrifices, our whole life is subject to conflagration. This generally begins with the physical body and physical conditions, especially when we invoke the eternal fire, flame, to consume all traces of evil and impurity. By every such invocation, we place a match to the tinder, and unless we have supplied the fuel of love, obedience, humility, and childlike confidence, we may expect the flame to sweep over us and consume many things to which we have clung in the past. But, beloved, is not always necessary or desirable that our lives should be made desolate or that we should pass through such fiery trials to purify ourselves, to test our sincerity and faith, or push us onward toward our goal. Such conflagrations are the natural phenomena of our invocations, as natural as the conflagration that would follow if we lit a fire on the floor instead on the hearthstone. How then are we to invoke the flame in our lives? Are we to stand aloof because it is too dangerous? If we say, I will stay out in the cold for fear of the fire, we will find the cold is death. First banish fear, then boldly enter the sanctuary of our hearts and face the flame upon the altar. When we have done this, like the 3 prophets of old when cast into the fiery furnace, we will find the Christ walking with us. To invoke this flame in safety, repeat the following prayer for light. On awakening in the morning, you drops asleep at night and many times during the day. O Christ, light thou within my heart the flame of divine love and wisdom, that I may dwell forever in the radiance of thy countenance and rest in the light of thy smile. Visualize the descent of this light as the beam of a great searchlight pouring down upon you from above. See it shine round about in your great circle of light, the ring pass not, within which no inharmonious thing can penetrate without being consumed by the divine fire. Then see it illume your mind, expand your consciousness, and deepen your understanding of life. Then see the light illume your heart with the golden glow, sending a natural glow of warmth throughout your physical body, purifying, transmuting, and spiritualizing the very atoms of your flesh by its spiritual radioactivity. Then think of the smile which the Divine One turns on all those who tune in to his consciousness through the aspirations of their hearts, and rest in the joy of that smile. Pray that the light of the divine, the flame of divine potency, be lighted in your heart, and as you go out into the world, strive to become a light bearer. How often have you talked of your desire to be a light bearer, yet you have not but lighted a lantern and walked away in the darkness, holding it in front of you for the world to see. Have you ever walked in the darkness with the light of a lantern shining directly into your eyes without stumbling? Yet you are along blindly, thinking how the world sees your lantern and it is following you. But there is more excellent way. Make your personality the lantern and let your whole being become so transparent that the radiance of the creativeness of the Christ shall illumine you and shine forth. Then you will no longer be holding up a lantern for the world to see, nor will the light you are trying to show forth blind your eyes and cause you to stumble. There then will be no more effort, no holding up a lantern and weeping bitterly because the world gives no heed. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Wow. Just go about your Father's business each day, accomplishing the tasks that are yours, making your dwelling place within the radiance of the countenance of the Christ, each day doing the little things, bright-eyed, clear-visioned, and with a cheerful countenance, seeing the stones and ruts in your path, but able to see how to step over or around them. Because the light within your heart has become the light of your world, combining love and wisdom. Let the light of the Christ, the flame of divine ecstasy in your heart, show forth its radiance in your life, then rest. Rest knowing that even if you sleep, the smile of the Christ is over you, guarding and protecting you, even as a smiling mother watches by the cradle of her babe. Fire is a power which comes to earth through the sun, but in you it is a sun of righteousness, the Christ force, which must be sent forth with such power that it shall descend into the depths of your earth conditions and carrying with it the forces of the water and the air. Bring forth your divine possibilities. Fire was given to man alone of all the creatures, and there is not a beast of the jungle which cannot be subdued if you wave a fire brand in its face. This is also true of the beast which rules the jungle of earth conditions today. It cannot stand if you wave the flame of the Christ light in its face. If each of you earnest students will remember that this flame is a power given you as a servant with which to conquer and accomplish, if you will reunite in its use, you can free yourself from the hampering physical conditions which the beast is fighting your development and success. Every time you meditate, enter the silence or turn your thoughts to this order, wave in the face of the beast the flame of divine love and wisdom and say, we shall be free, we shall be free. All hampering physical conditions shall disappear, that both I and the order may be free to accomplish more perfectly our great mission for the humanity. This is an exercise in practical occultism of great importance. Do not expect the masters to furnish material conditions for the spread of the work. They will not, for it is within your power to create them. The elements are your servants to bring forth the crops of increase, the rain of plenty, the air of rejuvenation, and the flame of divine love and wisdom. Therefore, dare to claim your heritage as sons of God. Do your duty as creators, and keep silent as you protect the flame from the winds of adversity. Many of you have made great progress since you entered the radiance of this order. You have made progress because you have turned your eyes toward the light within, have forgotten your personalities, cast aside your lantern, and lit the flame in your hearts. Like little children are nestling in the smile of the Christ. This lesson is given you as a staff in your hand, showing you how to accomplish. Remember that the gift of the Holy Ghost is the power to light the flame in your heart, to rest in the smile of the Christ. Let each one make the above prayer for the light in his own. Repeat it day by day and hour by hour, for you cannot repeat it regularly without its mystic meaning entering into your consciousness and its radiance illuminating the dark places of your own life and that of the order. Wow. And so is also true. Wow. The breathing exercise is something that I did a TikTok on, and I hope that you could take that and make it your own. Again, they're talking about their order, but make take and discern and go within your heart space and use your will of intention to do some of these exercises, but make it your own. I had a really good medium a few years ago tell me, like, yeah, you got to make it where your heart is singing and the words flowing through you. If it doesn't feel right or you're not feeling it, then use your own capacity of your words, your will, your intention to bring some of these things into your everyday life. And a lot of these things that they are telling you to do, it's just implementing change, making things habits, and growing them in doing it righteously for yourself. Um, Really great chapter. Uh, of course, the esoteric meaning has a lot and holds a lot more value, but I'm going to leave it here, guys. Thank you for watching. Please, if you have yet to do so, if you find any of my content interesting, you're on a phone or an iPad, there's my brain. Please hype my videos. Um, it reaches further and wider when you hype my videos. I'm still learning about it, but don't also forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. It helps me. It's Amish mindset, and these books are incredible. And I have a ton of books. I have a whole tab playlist for the Curtises. So if you find this book interesting, you might find one of the other books I've read interesting or really up to date and about the now moment. So please go and explore and have fun. Sending each and every one of you love, like a passion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within, be the shoulders, be the lighthouse, sprinkle and seed your truths, light that path forward. And I hope to see you all in the next one. I will be live tomorrow, which is Friday, for Friday Night Live. There, I'll be doing some oracle reading and giving you guys some insight about the energies and the craziness that's been going on this week. But until the next time, guys, have a blessed and beautiful day wherever you are in the world, and bye for now.